Hey YouTube, it's Stone2491 and we're taking a church tour.
Behind the altar. Behind that is the window that was there donated in memory of Bishop Onderdonk, who was the bishop in 1835. It's one of the Gibsons. The bottom part of that window was blown out in 1884 when they were blasting for the railroad. So there was a picture of St. Mark on that window, which is no longer there because it was blown out and they ended up putting regular glass in, because in the meantime, Asa Packer passed away in 1879. He was a personal friend of the Queen of England. The architect for this church was Richard Upjohn. That's why it's Gothic, shape of a Latin cross. This is being a cross. But when he passed away, his wife called the Queen of England and got permission for her to send some of Upjohn's artists over there to draw the Easter scenes from St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. He brought them back, and Upjohn designed the rear doors. He then had stone imported from Caen, France. It's called Caen stone. It's like a limestone. They brought it in big chunks, just as they quarried it. Brought it here, and they sent 3 Italian sculptors here, and they took a year and a half to make the sculpture back there. We don't know how many pieces of stone because you can't see all of the seams. But that's part of the memorial. The altar itself was also designed by Upjohn. That's Italian marble and weighs 5 tons. How they got it up here, because there are no roads behind here. There's no paths behind here. It's the mountain behind.
And that's all in one piece too, right?
That's all. Well, the bottom is separate, but the altar itself is one piece. Yes. So that's a memorial to Asa. To the left is the sacristy. If you went into the sacristy, there's a 91-step spiral staircase up to the bell tower, which you probably noticed up the top. In 1876, there was one bell up there. When it rang for the centennial, it cracked. They had to bring it down. They melted it down. That cross and sold little memorial bells, trying to raise money to put another bell up there. In the meantime, there were 7 millionaires who belonged to this church, and they started donating bells. Asa donated the biggest one, which is 2,489 pounds. It was the second biggest bell in the country at the time, second to the one in Notre Dame in Indiana. And they put 9 bells up there instead of 1, and they had to go 60 steps to ring them. There's levers and ropes that they used to ring them on. In 1947, they electrified the bells, and the townspeople donated 3 more bells in memory of Mary Packer. So there are now 12 bells up there, and they can now play them on a keyboard, like a piano. And then in the 1990s, they computerized them, so now all they have to do is pick out the songs they want to hear, and they will play them. There's over 2,000 songs built into it. We don't ring them as much as we used to, because we're now in the process of trying to repair them, because they haven't been touched since 1947. We're running out of parts, so we have a project together to do that. So that was it. The Austin organ. Okay, the organ was originally a Jardine. All the pipes you see are from the Jardine II organ, which is in 1869. 1911, Mary Packer Cummings donated an Austin organ with over 1,600 pipes. None of those pipes are in use today. All of the ones that are in use are behind the organ chamber. All the Austin pipes are back there. There's now over 1,700 of them.
Wow, I bet you can hear that all over the city.
It plays a lot of different songs. Unfortunately, our organist is terrible. I'd rather listen to our substitute organist, who's pretty good. But I don't have a say in that. But anyway, she donated that in 1911. In 1883, Mary and Harry Packer donated the pulpit and the gospel stand. The pulpit is in memory of Robert Packer, who was 41 when he passed away. He passed away probably around 1880, 1881, because Asa died in 1879, and like they're about a year apart, there's 4 of them that died. And Robert was the oldest son. Okay? Mary was actually the second oldest child. The oldest died in a horseback riding accident. Robert died at the age of 41, and his brother Harry and Mary, his sister, donated that in his memory. There's a lion wings on the front honoring St. Mark. This is donated in memory of Sarah. The state also was put in 1883. Sarah was the mother. Champlain marble on the bottom in the shape of a Greek cross. The 4 lions representing St. Mark. The 4 angels, all holding a name of one of the gospel writers. And of course, the eagle representing the word of God taken to the highest levels. A year later, Harry died at the age of 34. And his wife donated the choir stalls and all of the brass up front in memory of Harry. So basically, most of the front is in memory of one of the Packers. The altar has a cross on it, okay? That's the newest artifact I guess we have. It was donated in 1934 by Josephine Remmel in memory of all parishioners who passed before that date and after that date. It was made by the Caldwell Jewelry Company, which I believe is also in New York. The base is brass, the cross itself is solid gold, and it's inlaid with semi-precious and precious stones. And inside of it is a fluorescent tube in the shape of a cross to illuminate it equally.
I was wondering what made it. I'm looking at the lights, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if they got lights on there to illuminate.
And when Caldwell brought the cross here and the church accepted it, he then destroyed the pattern, so it makes it unique. The only one like it. They actually said since then that they have never made another cross for the church. The window over here is called the Lily window. That's another one of the Gibsons. It's in memory of General William and Catherine Lilly. General William did not fight in any wars, okay? He was a general, but he died in 1867, and not because he was in the Civil War, because he was like 70-some years old at the time. So he probably was too old to fight in the Civil War and too young to fight in the War of 1812. But he was a general, and the WC up the top stands for William and Catherine, who the windows are made. Most of the Gibson windows have that. The window over here was one of them that was not here in 1869. This one was installed in 1895. It probably replaced the Gibson window. I'm assuming there was a Gibson window there. This was donated by the Butler family in memory of Anna and Alex Butler. It's one of the original Tiffany windows. Now, what makes Tiffany windows so special are a couple things. Louis Tiffany was the only stained glass maker that ever existed, including today, that could make flesh tone stained glass. His flesh tones are actual stained glass. Every other stained glass maker that has flesh tones is painted and fired. His is actual glass. He could also make superimpositions and superimpose things in his glass. This one's hard to see. Hopefully you will be able to, but on the tablecloth, in the tablecloth, he has superimposed the face of Christ on the cross. As a reference to that, if you're having a hard time seeing it, his nose is almost directly under the chalice, and the eyes are almost directly under the hands. And it's not a full face, but that's...
Oh, yeah,
But if you
okay.
didn't tell me, I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Right, yeah.
And that is another thing that he was able to do, because it's not glass inside of glass. He just made it that way. And that one also, when the sun hits the 2 little candles up there, they look like they flicker when the sun hits it in a certain way. That's another Gibson window over there. That's in memory of Samuel and Harriet Holland. That's why the SHH up the top. This is the other Tiffany over here, and this was donated in 1911 by Mary Packer Trump. This is in memory of Lucy Packer, who passed away at the age of 39 in a horseback race. Lucy was actually
He
the
died
oldest.
very young.
Yeah.
back then.
Well, Mary lived to be 73, so
Oh.
she survived to 19.
Yeah.
She was, and Lucy was actually a couple years older than Mary, because Mary was born in 1839. She was born in 1832. And, but that's in memory of her, and also memory of 2 of her children, Asa, who died at 5 months old, and Harry, who died at 2 months old. Now, Lucy was the only child of Asa's that had children that lived to be adults. In fact, about two months ago, we had some of Asa's great-grandchildren, some of the Lindermans. They were Lindermans. His husband was a doctor in Bethlehem. That's where Lucy's buried. But that's based on a picture in the mansion called the Breath of My Love, painted by Holman Hunt